Welcome to another Operators to Owners short course. And today I want to continue our lessons on heuristics, and specifically on applied heuristics, or the use of heuristics in day-to-day medicine. Today's lesson is going to focus a little bit on peak and end rule heuristics, or the leveraging of heuristics to assess a particular experience. So when we go through an experience, our brain doesn't assess that experience on a minute-to-minute average. It actually assesses that experience on two key moments within the entire experience. The first of which is the best or worst moment. So the moment in which you experience the most pain, the most discomfort, or the most joy or satisfaction. The second moment that it uses is the end of that particular experience. So does that particular experience result in a lot of pride, a lot of success, or a reduction in pain at the very end? And what it does is it uses the average of these two experiences to give you an overall impression of how that experience went. So what this means is people are more likely to take on more pain, more work, or more overall discomfort if that situation that they experience results in an ending with less pain, less work, or less discomfort. And this particular principle is completely independent of time. So what I mean by that is you can have somebody who actually will experience greater pain over a longer period of time, but that pain ends on a lower level, but it will peak at the same level as somebody who experiences pain at less of a period of time, but peaks and ends at a higher level. So in other words, people will experience more discomfort over a longer period of time if they actually have less discomfort towards the end, versus people who would experience it in a shorter period of time, but a higher discomfort at the end. Now, a 2017 study found that even this particular principle, the peak and end rule, is applicable for workloads. And they found that workloads that were backloaded, or workloads that resulted in a lot more work towards the end versus in the middle of that particular workload, were deemed harder and more intense by people who participated in them or had to do those tasks over ones that actually peaked in the middle of that particular workload. So again, this particular principle can apply to pain and discomfort, but it can also apply to overall workload. And we need to keep this in mind, I think, when we actually look at some treatment regimes. So for example, let's look at a fat cow DA. So pretty common thing we'll see is you go out to a farm, you got quote unquote a great cow, but she's got a DA, fresh cow with a DA. She's a relatively fat cow. You suspect fatty liver, okay? So a lot of times what these cows need is a lot of supportive care, right? So let's just say we diagnose them and we tell the owner, okay, I'll cut the DA if you follow my treatment steps to a T. And they agree that they will do that. So now you can provide them two different options in this scenario, okay? Option number one, we need to IV, we need to pump, we need to give antibiotics, we need to pill, we need to give intramuscular injections. So over the course of a 3-day treatment regime, the first day they're going to do 2 treatment steps. The second day they're going to do 5 treatment steps. And the third day they're going to do 8 treatment steps. 3 days of treatment for a grand total of 15 steps. Now option number 2 you provide them is, again, we're going to do the same treatments: IV, pump, antibiotics, pill, intramuscular injections. We're going to do the same treatments for day 1, 2, and 3. Again, 15 steps. But now we're going to add in a day 4, which is going to add 5 more steps. So now we're going to have 20 total treatment steps. Now, given that this owner has experienced similar success to these 2 protocols, the real question here is, which one are they going to pick? Are they going to pick option number 1, again, with day 1 of 2 treatments, day 2 of 5 treatments, day 3 of 8 treatments? Or are they going to pick option number 2 with 2, 5, 8, and 5 treatments? Now, given what we've talked about already on this peak and end rule, we know that majority of people are going to pick option number 2. Even though this option is going to have additional steps or additional work required for it, they're still going to pick this option because it's perceived to be easier, because the peak amount of discomfort, the peak amount of work is not the last step. So, how do we leverage these downhill treatment strategies? And I think this is something we really need to strongly consider, especially in terms of long-term treatment protocols and getting people to comply to them. So fatty liver protocol is great because it's going to be a lot of days. But there's other protocols out there that have extended durations or extended supportive therapies needed. So when we're thinking of this, we need to reduce the perceived pain by the people who are actually doing these procedures, so hopefully compliance increases. So if you can bracket or kind of downhill these treatment protocols like the fatty liver protocols with easier supportive care options on the end, we can reduce the overall client and employee discomfort with that protocol. So, for example, if we add supportive therapies towards the end of protocols such as B vitamins, propylene glycol, or maybe even other non-antibiotic based treatments, that would be a great way to leverage this peak and end rule without significantly increasing overall treatments, overall costs, while still being beneficial to those animals and hopefully positively impacting the overall outcome at the end of the treatment cycle. So what we can do is take our standard protocols that are maybe relatively intense and kind of stage up, and then let's say they plateau and then they're done. And what we're going to do is turn them more into a bell curve. We're going to stage them up over the period of the ramp up. We're going to treat them at a high level in the middle. And then as we go towards the end, we're going to taper them off. And I think that what you're going to see is if we adopt this in veterinary medicine, if we adopt this in generalized medicine, we're going to see greater overall compliance with the treatments and greater overall resolution of the underlying diseases. So with this, I'd kind of invite you to go into your protocols, dig deep, find a protocol that's really an intensive treatment protocol that you've got, and see if you can modify it to leverage this downhill principle, this peak and end rule, and see if you can get additional compliance in some of your dairies. If you get this to work, please come to our OTO forums. Again, otovets.com/Facebook-group, and share your strategy so the rest of the community can take advantage as well. Thanks for joining me for this short course today, OTOers, and carry on.